The Bulls finally returned to winning ways after a 48-7 victory over Stade Francais at Loftus Versfeld. This result sees them arrest a 4-game slump and remain alive in Europe, although they dropped down to division to the EPCR challenge. Newzroom Afrika's Yolulwe Qoshe has more.
The Bulls snapped a 4-game losing streak after beating Stade Francais 48-7 in a European Champions Cup game at Loftus Versfeld Stadium. And for Director of Rugby Jake White, it was a delight to finally get the victory out the way.
I'm obviously very happy that we got that result. And I mean, obviously the only thing I'm disappointed about is it comes at a cost with an injury. So, we can only control the controllables, and every team sits with major injuries this season. And you look at Damien, I'm just using, who's also a hell of an important forward. Stormers isn't playing, and you look at Andre Esthuizen for the Sharks now sitting out. So it's definitely, it's obviously one of the things that all the teams have to cope with. But I'm very happy. I thought the first 60 minutes we were really good again. Last 20, no one's fault. I just thought we lost rhythm and we lost a couple of lineouts, which put us under a bit of, I wouldn't say pressure, but couldn't get any rhythm. So, but very happy. And
the result means Jake White's Chargers still remain in Europe, although they dropped down a division to the EPCR challenge. For the Director of Rugby, he admits they still need to figure out a way to balance both that particular competition and the United Rugby Championship.
I'm going to be genuinely honest with you. I haven't even thought about that, because first things first is we had to qualify for this. And now that we're through, now I can start working out when do they play, who do we play before, who do we play after. As I said, because by the end of the weekend we'll know where we've got to travel to. And it could be Connacht, I'm just using example. Could be Ospreys. So once I get that, then I can decide how we're going to manage the 4-week tour. And again, I'm not being presumptuous, but I'm assuming that if we win the top 16, we have to stay there. But what happens if we lose? We've got to come all the way back here, have a week here, and then fly back again. That means it's a double tour. It's not just one single tour, it's double tour. And that also has an impact on how you manage the players for that block.
That win unfortunately came with the casualty of fly half Johan Qoshe, but the Director of Rugby Jake White says he's still confident in his fly half stocks.
Well, if you remember correctly, we played the first 5 games of this URC without him, and we won 4 of the 5. So, that we've managed to get away without having him on the field, and we did well. We lost a game to Scarlets that we could have won as well, so we could have been 5 from 5 without him. And as I said to you earlier, I think every team is going to get. What could happen between now and the end of the derbies? Anything can happen, and I'm comfortable now with Jaco van der Walt, who's played international rugby. You've got Boeta, Willie can play 10. So I'm not for 1 minute sounding like a coach that's already made up my mind that Qoshe's out, and therefore, but it is what it is. That we got to. I remember this sort of, when I look at you, it makes me remember Jean de Villiers in the World Cup in 2007 tore his bicep muscle, and then we had to play France Steyn. And we all know what happened. So sometimes opportunities come for other players, and then they take those opportunities.
White still rules the missed opportunity from last week against Qoshe, where if they'd won that game, they'll still be alive today, trying to get to the next round of this competition.
Yeah. No, not a small part, a big part. I think Northampton, yeah. And that's the interesting thing I said to you. I thought about in hindsight, because you always reflect. Maybe we should have swapped the 2 teams around and played the one that played Cust against Saracens and played the other one against Northampton. But the cost factor of that, of having to fly a team back from Connacht to come back, prepare for Northampton and fly a whole new team to go to is, I don't think we've got that budget. And even if they said, listen, we'll pay for it, I genuinely don't think it's a battle we need to win. But yeah, there's lots. To answer your question, there's lots. I think that we've missed an opportunity there. We had a chance last week against Cuss to get a point, and we didn't get that either. Even after 20 minutes, we were in the game, and we didn't. But the reason we didn't is because you see what happens when you bring a team that are inexperienced. You see a team that hasn't played together. Doesn't matter whether your budget's 46 million or your budget's 10 million. The reality is the end result is exactly the same. So, but I'm going to keep banging the drum with you guys. We need to get better players. If we're going to play in the Champions Cup, We're going to have a squad that can run out every week.
Although, admittedly, White would want his team to be playing with the big boys in the European Champions Cup, he is still adamant that this particular competition, the EPCR that he goes into now, will afford him an opportunity to still get silverware in the cabinet. For Newzroom Afrika on channel 405, I am Yolulwe Qoshe at Loftus Versfeld Stadium in Pretoria.